Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to learn how to use the Routh stability criterion in order to select the parameters of a proportional integral controller. Before I start with all the explanations, I have to mention that I have created a post that nicely summarizes everything that I will explain in this video. So if you don't have enough time to watch this video, you can just read the post. A link to this post is given in the description below. Okay, so here's our basic problem formulation. Our goal is to choose the parameters of our controller C such that when we apply the control input to the plant, the closed loop system becomes stable, and such that when we apply a step reference signal, the output in steady state will follow this step signal. We are going to assume a PI or proportional integral control structure given by this equation. This is the proportional gain, this is the integral gain, and E is the error. Our task is to find these parameters such that the closed loop system is stable and such that the output of the system follows the step reference signal. As you will see in this video, the region in the parametric space Ki and K that guarantees the asymptotic stability of the system and tracking of step reference signals is given by this region over here. This region is bounded by the line K is equal 1 over 5 Ki minus 6, and the parameter Ki should be larger than 0. I will teach you how to use the Routh stability criterion to compute this region. So by selecting, let's say this point, with certain values of the parameters, let's call this point A, and let this point A be defined, for example, let this be, for example, 45, and, for example, 10, where these values correspond to Ki and K parameters, the system will be asymptotically stable. That is, you can safely select these parameters, and as you will see in Matlab simulations, the system will be perfectly stable. These are the Matlab simulations. This is the step response of the system for certain values of the parameters, and this is the response to initial conditions that shows the system stability. Okay, so let's start with calculations. This is the block diagram over here, and the control error is defined by equation 1. This is the OD model of the plant. That is, if you apply the input on the right hand side, the output will behave according to this ODE. The controller is given by the equation 3. K is the proportional gain, Ki is the integral gain, and E is the error previously defined. If you apply the Laplace transform to the equation 2, we will obtain the equation 4. To mention, the Laplace transform is computed under the assumption of 0 initial conditions. So 0 for y and 0 for y dot. The equation 4 can be represented in the form given by the equation 5, and the equation 5 represents the transfer function of our plant. So y of s over u of s is 1 over s squared plus 5s plus 6. Similarly, if we apply the Laplace transform to our control equation, to the PI control equation, proportional integral, we obtain the equation 6. And from the equation 6, we can obtain the equation 7 that represents the transfer function of our controller. So the controller takes as an input error and it computes the control signal u, and its transfer function is given k plus ki over s. The next step is to define the transfer function of the closed loop system. This transfer function relates the output of the system to the reference input. So we are searching for y over s over r over s. It's not difficult to show that this transfer function is given by the form p of s times c of s over 1 plus p of s times c of s. You can watch one of my previous videos in order to learn how to compute this, but the calculations are straightforward. You basically just follow the block diagram, and then you can say from this block diagram that, for example, y of s is equal to p of s times c of s times e of s, and then you express the e of s as r of s minus y of s. You substitute back in these equations, you obtain something like this, and you do a little bit of algebraic manipulations, equation 10, 11, and 12, and you at the end arrive at equation 13. Now, the system transfer function is very important for analyzing the system stability. From the equation 13, we can see that the system characteristic equation, or the characteristic polynomial, is given by this equation. That is, it's given when we equate the denominator of the transfer function to 0. Now, the zeros of the characteristic polynomials are the system poles, and the system is stable if the real parts of the poles are in the left half complex plane. That is, if this is our complex plane, this is the real part, this is the imaginary part, the poles of the system should be in this region if we want to guarantee the asymptotic stability of the system. So the poles should be over here. Now, if we substitute the transfer function of the plant and the transfer function of the controller in the equation 14, and after a few algebraic manipulations, we should obtain the equation 15. And the equation 15 is the final form of our characteristic polynomial. Immediately, we can see that this equation, and consequently its zeros, and consequently the system poles, depend on the parameters k and ki. So our goal is to select k and ki such that the real parts of the system poles are negative. So the poles should belong to the left half of the complex plane. Let us analyze this equation. So the first necessary condition for the system to be asymptotically stable is that all the coefficients of the above polynomial are positive. However, this is only a necessary condition. That is, if ki is larger than 0, and if 6 plus k is larger than 0, then what can we conclude? Can we conclude that the system is asymptotically stable? No. This is only the necessary condition. We also need a stronger condition. However, this condition is very useful because if this condition is not fulfilled, then you immediately know that the system is not asymptotically stable. So we need a stronger condition. And that stronger condition is given by the Routh stability criterion. So let us apply the Routh's stability criterion. For brevity, I'm not going to explain the background of the Routh stability criterion, I'm just going to apply it. So what do? The first row of the Routh array is given over here. How did we find this row? Well, by looking at this equation, you need to select this parameter, and they will be in the first row. So the first row will consist of 1 and 6 plus k. How about the second row? The second row is also easy. The second row will be the coefficient multiplying s squared and this coefficient. So we will have 5 and ki. Okay, so how to compute the third row? Well, the first element in the third row is computed as follows. We're going to call this element C1. So the C1 element is computed as minus the element over here, and we're going to put it in the denominator, and we simply compute the system determinant. So we multiply 1 times ki, which is ki, minus 5 times 6 plus k, that gives minus 30 minus 5k. Now, if we multiply these terms with minus 1, we will obtain that C1 is 30 plus 5k minus ki over 5. And this is the C1 element, which is given over here. The element over here is 0, since we don't have any continuation of the first and the second row, and we are done. How do we compute the first entry in the fourth row? We use the same procedure. So the entry over here should be equal to ki, but how can we compute it? Well, we take this entry over here, we put it in the denominator with the minus sign, and we simply consider this matrix and compute its determinant and place it in the numerator over here. So the determinant becomes 5 times 0 is 0 minus ki multiplying the entry 30 plus 5k minus ki over 5. So what do we see over here? Immediately these two terms can cancel, and at the end we obtain ki, and this is the element over here, and the next element in the fourth row is equal to 0. And we are finished. Now, the system is asymptotically stable if and only if, watch out here, here the condition is if and only if, it's a very strong condition, that is, it's a necessary and sufficient condition for stability, that is, the system is stable if and only if all the coefficients in the first column of the Routh array are positive. According to this condition, ki needs to be positive, and this term over here needs to be positive. That's equivalent to k should be larger than ki over 5 minus 6. Now, what is interesting to observe now is what does these two equations, how can they be represented graphically? It turns out that these two inequalities, they're not equations, they're inequalities, correspond to this region in the parametric plane ki and k. So any point over here with the coordinates k and k, we will render the system stable. And finally, we need to verify our theoretical predictions in Matlab. So how to do that? It's very easy and straightforward. Open Matlab and write down this script. First, we define the complex variable as s equal to tf of s. Of course, to reproduce this code, you will need a control systems toolbox in Matlab. Then, let us choose the parameters. We know that the stability region is given ki is larger than 0 and k should be larger than 1 over 5 ki minus 6. So by choosing 1 and k as follows, right, we choose this is the boundary and we go a little bit above the boundary, we will make the system unstable. We are going to make the system stable. The next step is to define the plant. Here's our plant and here's our controller. So let's execute these 4 lines of code. Here's what we get. Okay, so here's our controller. Actually, here's the k parameter. This is the ki parameter. This is the plant. This is the controller. So far, so good. Here's our closed loop system. Okay, here's our closed loop system. Looks very complex, right? But we know that the system will be asymptotically stable. So let's verify that. The first step is to see the system poles. Okay, so here the system poles. These poles look very good. And probably this is also negative. This is up to numerical error. Then let's compute the system step response. Okay, so here's our system step response. Okay, we want system to follow the step signal, the step unit signal. We see that we have some oscillations, and finally the system after 200 seconds more or less settles at the required position 1. Okay, how about initial system response, that is the response to non-zero initial condition when the step signal is equal to 0 or when we do not have an external input, only when we have some an internal state in the system. Let's see what happens. I'm going to define random initial state and I'm going to compute an initial system response, that is the response to this initial condition. You can simply evaluate these 2 equations and let's see what do we get. Great. We start from somewhere over here. Obviously, the initial condition is not 0 and since the system is stable, right, it settles down to its 0 equilibrium point. Now, what is also interesting to observe is what happens if we destabilize the system. Will our theoretical predictions be correct? How to destabilize the system? We can simply go below the boundary. So if you remember correctly, the boundary is this line. So if we go below this line, but we can simply go below this line by introducing a negative parameter over here, we will render the system unstable. So let's see that. Let's even go a little bit further. We can go 0.5. Let's check the system poles, evaluate everything. Clearly you can see negative, or actually the poles with the positive real part, which will make the system unstable. Let's see the step response of the system, and you will see that everything blows up. Look at the magnitude over here. The system completely blows up, and if you zoom here, you're still at 1023, so it's very difficult to see anything. Again, here is the initial non-zero state system response. The same thing happened, the system blows up. Okay, I hope that you like this video and that you find this video useful for your project. Please support my channel or subscribe if you like these videos. Thank you very much and have a nice day.